Hello and good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back once again for another video of DIY investing. Bitcoin has been making some nice price action over last night's move, and it's showing a lot more bullish signs. We're going to dive in today. I'm going to share with you guys my Elliott Wave count so that you know all expectations of what I'm watching for Bitcoin. You guys already knew that my buy orders have been casted, and so we've been filled on all three of those. So today we're going to be diving in, showing you guys an update with Bitcoin, taking a look at the altcoin and the Bitcoin dominance so that you guys know exactly what I'm watching for the next moves coming forward. If you're new and just finding this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more awesome videos like the one provided for you here. If you're looking for signals, I have launched a signal server inside of my Discord, so make sure you check that by hitting the invitation link in the description of this video. Even if you're not looking for signals specifically, make sure you join my Discord server so that you can share your own analysis and then stay up to date with what I'm doing inside of there. Alright guys, we got a lot of things to cover, so let's jump right in the video today. Okay, so to start off this, we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin. Now, some things have changed since my last update, and I want to share that with you guys. Now, one pattern that I did not really like to trade very much, especially in the bear market, was the falling wedge. Now, falling wedge for me has been overblown a lot of the time. I feel as if a lot of people draw falling wedges without it really having parameters for it to be following that sort of a correction. And so I didn't really trade a whole lot of these. I remember in the bear market specifically, I tried to trade falling wedges a lot and was getting wrecked a lot of the time. And of course, guys, that was coming inside of a bear market, so it's going to be more expected that the falling wedge isn't going to play out. But what I have noticed today inside of Bitcoin and what I've been drawing for about the last week now is the potential for a falling wedge correction. Now, I haven't really made a falling wedge correction inside of this. I was watching the descending triangle, and then I was watching for the breakdown of that continuation pattern. And now we're kind of just consolidating inside of this. Now, the cool thing about this, guys, and what I wanted to share with you is how I personally trade falling wedges. Now, when I wait for a falling wedge, I want to have at least 7 price confirmations inside of the resistances of this triangle pattern. And the reason for that is the more times you have price reacting to a given resistance level, the stronger that pattern is to play out. Now, not all patterns play out that similarly, but with the falling wedge specifically, you want to have a lot of reactions to the resistance of the price. So let's go through here and actually count how many reactions that we have up to this point. We had 1 at the first, 2, 3, 4. You could count this one as 5. 5, 6, and then 7. So really we've had at least 7 or 8 different price confirmational touches on the resistances. And so for me, this is a confirmed falling wedge pattern, and this is a reversal pattern. Now, not only is a falling wedge a reversal pattern, but it can be a bullish continuation pattern as well. And so this is one of the more bullish patterns that you're going to actually find in cryptocurrency. Now, when a falling wedge actually plays out in your favor, it's something that's very impulsive and happens, and when the breakout happens, it goes very quickly. And so this is something to pay attention for. Now, overall, I want to share with you guys my updated analysis with Bitcoin because we have had a very solid buyback in here. We can see that this candle took us from about 74.50 all the way up to about 8,800. So about a $1,300 candle that we saw in here. And so now we're consolidating out of that. So where does this put us? Does this mean that alt season is upon us? Is Bitcoin about to break out and go for all-time high mark? What is happening? We're going to be diving in today. I'm going to be sharing with you guys my full around analysis with Bitcoin. It's been a few days since my last update. I've had a sore throat. I've just been trying to recover from that. Overall, the market was doing what I expected it to. Last update, I told you guys that I was expecting one more low from this consolidation here, and we actually did get that. Now, let's go through here before we go into too much analysis, and let's share quickly with you guys my updated entries in which I accumulated Bitcoin in this dip. Now, if you guys have been following me for a while, my first entries were here at about 9,100. Right about there, we accumulated our first buy orders at 9,100, and then I told you guys I was accumulating at 8,350. So 8,350 puts us about right here, and we accumulated that dip there. And then my last buy orders were set at 76, and I told you guys that was the next level that I was watching. That was the last of my bids. And then we actually did manage to fill those. And so I am very happy in this time. I was managed to get filled on all 3 of my buy orders for this Bitcoin retrace. And so that's very good moving forward for me as far as my trading plan. Now, where does this put us? Even though I'm accumulated all three of my bigger term, long-term portfolio bags, I got filled on all of those bids, and so I'm ready to go for the short term and the long term right now. But with this, guys, I wanted to point out a couple factors that I am watching out for. Now, let's get rid of my entries so that you guys don't get too caught up with that. Now, what I'm currently watching is the fact that this is a 3-3-3 correction as far as Elliott Wave goes. And what that means is it's just ABC corrections all the way through here. So we saw our first one right here, ABC, followed by another ABC up. And then this was our bigger ABC back down. Now, the ABC back down could be at completion, or we have one more alternative count that puts this as the 4-wave retrace before we have one more final impulse back down that would take us back down to this monthly support here. So let's actually go through here and analyze my Elliott Wave count so that you guys know what I'm watching for as far as my count goes. So what we're currently seeing is a 3-3-3 triangle correction. Now, this ABC is the last one that we should see theoretically before we do actually start the next impulse up. But there's a couple counts that I'm watching out for. So with this C leg, every C leg has to have 5 impulse waves for it to be confirmed. And so that's really what I'm watching out for here. Now, what it looks as if this could be the bullish case scenario. This was our 1 wave. This was our 3, and then this final little impulse back down was our 5. And that little 5 wave was accompanied by a 1, 3, and 5 impulse in the 5 of the 5. And what I mean there is this was a 1, this was a 3, and then this was our 5 back down. As far as Elliott Wave goes, this could easily be the final 5 of the 5, and that would be the final 5 of the impulse of the C leg. And so this very easily has the potential to be incomplete. It's time before we start impulsing higher. And I think that's what we could be seeing with this big green candle. Now, obviously, we need to see how this 24-hour daily candle closes. I'd also be watching the weekly and monthly closes as well. But for right now, we need to see how this candle closes. If we start closing back below and we get back down below probably about 82.50. If we get back down below there, it's going to look a little bit more bearish, like we could see more downside. But if we continue to close up higher like we are right now, then that's going to look very good. Now, what I'm going to be watching for, let's say this isn't quite the end of our retrace and we need to go for one more lower low. Well, if that's the case, then that would put my Elliott Wave count as this. This was our 1, this was our 3, and this was our 5 of the 4, right? And so really, this would be right here, and then we're having the 4-wave retrace before one more final 5-wave impulse back down. And this is going to be the bearish scenario, guys. The bearish scenario is really just that this impulse that we're seeing right now is just the 4-wave bounce before we have one more final 5-wave impulse back down that most likely would take us back down to monthly support. Realistically speaking, guys, we bounced at about 74.50 or 7400, right around there. That was pretty much the support of this cluster, probably the most average support that you could find, and we actually bounced up from that. And so if we don't close outside of this resistance, or we don't continue to impulse up higher from this point, then it's going to be less likely that we're going to break out here, and it's most likely that we're going to fall for one more low. But as of right now, guys, the buyback that we saw is very impulsive. This has a lot of bullish structure up to this point. Like I said, we're going to see how this candle closes and really what the market's going to give us, but overall it looks very good. The fact that we've had multiple reactions on the triangle resistances of this correctional pattern, and now we've had over 7, which is a confirmed falling wedge based off of my own personal technical analysis, and now we're kind of bouncing up from that. And so realistically, guys, as of right now, it looks really good. Market's looking fire. I've accumulated all 3 of my bids. Now, realistically, one last thing I want to say to you guys before we jump into something else for this video. What I'm watching for currently is the fact that if this is a 4-wave retrace and we have one more final 5-wave coming back down that completes the ABC, then I think that would be, if that happens, then I'm just going to be deploying any extra cash I have at the time back down here when we hit in these mid 6Ks. And that's how I'd be looking to trade, because realistically, guys, I wasn't expecting anything bigger than a 30 to a 40% correction. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I want to be as transparent with my analysis as I can for you guys on the YouTube channel so that you guys know what I'm watching. And for you guys that maybe have not been trading as long, you'll know exactly kind of what I'm thinking and are going to be allowed and are going to be able to really structure your own trades in your own way with a lot of noise left out. Because honestly, guys, a lot of people that will give you guys advice on YouTube, Twitter, anywhere for the most part any crypto person that's going to give you advice is oftentimes going to give you bad advice, and that's just the way it works. Predominantly, the most of the market doesn't profit, and so it's hard to know exactly who to trust in this time. So I'm going to be transparent with my analysis. The times I mess up, the times I'm right, I'm going to be open and honest about that. And so one thing I wanted to say, guys, is that I wasn't expecting anything bigger than a 30 to a 40% correction. And if it did go over 40%, it would be very short-lived. Now, my trading plan was, my first bids were at about 30% or 9,100, which would be right here. So about 33%. Then my next bids were at 8,350, which was about a 40%, 39% correction. And then my last bids were at 76, which would have been a 44%, almost a 45% correction. And so already I kind of ventured outside of my trading plan with my last final bids at 76, but that's fine, guys. I really was just looking for the rough range of 30 to a 40% correction. And now it's looking as if we could be at the terminal end of that correction. Now, one thing I want to note, guys, is if we do start going back down to the 6Ks, once we hit 6K, that's going to be about a 49% correction, almost a 50% correction. And so if we do come back down to this monthly support down in here, we're going to be at a 50% correction. Mid-50s, somewhere right around that point, is for how low this correction is going to be if we go for one more leg down. Now, that's really going to be unlikely based off of my analysis, guys. And really, my analysis goes based off of the last cycle, because I did have to trade that cycle, and I was able to profit the entire way up on that cycle. And really all we saw was 30 to 40% corrections the entire way up. And so this is what I was watching out for this correction as well. Now, this correction has already bled a lot more than the other ones did. It's actually equal for the biggest correction that we've seen in a bull market. Now, that's pre-2016. I don't know after that point, but after 2016, I can say that this is the biggest correction and is tied for the biggest correction that we've had inside of a bull market. And so for me, guys, if I do see this thing go for one more leg down, any extra cash that I have, I'm just going to be putting it into crypto, specifically just buying Bitcoin. Any extra cash that I can find, I'm just going to be putting in there, really outside of a trading plan in general. But I wanted to share with you guys the fact that I do have a plan if this thing does go down for a leg lower. And that's just all extra money that I have. I'm just throwing it at the market because it's going to be such a good buying opportunity. It was already such a great buying opportunity. The fact that we were below 40% was red flags that everybody should have been buying at that time. And so that's why I wanted to be updating you guys. I mean, I've been updating you guys with my targets since clear back here up at the top when we were still trending above 10K. About above 10.5K is when I was telling you guys the rest of my bids clear down in here. Didn't know if I'd get filled on those, but I did get filled on those. And that's why it's really important to stick to your trading plan. Because right about here, I was sitting here and I remember having thoughts as I was watching my buy orders at 76. I remember having thoughts, well, why don't you just pull those down a little bit? Pull them down to 7,200. That's where the 618 is. That's where it's most likely going to bottom. And I had these lingering thoughts telling me to just revise my trading plan a little bit. Now, guys, if I would have revised my trading plan, I wouldn't have got filled on my final buy order at 76. I would have pulled it down to about 7,250, and I would have just barely missed that entry right here before we had a $1,300 candle on the upside. And so I just wanted to share with you guys why it's so important not to mess with your trading plan, especially when you have a trading plan that's been in place for a while now. In this case, I had this trading plan active for about 3 months. 2 or 3 months in that time was about as long as this trading plan's been in place. And so it would have been really dumb if I would have switched that up at the last second right before the last leg down and then didn't get filled on those entries just because of emotional trading decision. And so I wanted to share that with you guys real quickly. Overall, I am very bullish. Realistically speaking, if we do break out of this falling wedge, my next target's going to be about the all-time high of this last cycle move, which is be about 13K. Right about there, that's where I'm going to target for a sell-off. Now, that's just short-term profits, guys. I told you guys that all bids I took down in here are long-term. I'm holding till past all-time high marks, and I won't be looking back to anything but that point. And so that's what I'm going to be structuring my trading plan as follows. Overall, this has the potential to being a completed 333 Elliott Wave connection or correction with 5 legs down in the C, with our first impulse starting out of this breakout of these lows of about 73.50. And so this is what I'm going to be watching out for, guys. Realistically, I want to point out though, don't get too excited until we break out of this descending resistance. I know it looks really good and we're getting a nice buyback in this time, but this could also get brought this could also get brought down significantly by the sellers. And so that's something to watch for. Just wait for the daily and weekly closes. I'm also going to be watching the monthly to see exactly what that's going to give us, because all of these different time frames are going to give us a different alternative to follow. And so this is what I'm going to be watching out for Bitcoin. Overall, just wanted to give you guys my updated analysis so that you know exactly what I'm thinking moving forward. I do believe that this is a falling wedge reversal pattern or a bullish continuation pattern, whatever you want to call it. And these are some of the most bullish continuation patterns that exist out there. And so it's really important to be watching this, paying attention to what's going on. Now, if you're somebody that's seeing this and you saw my my alternative bearish count that still has us going down to monthly resistance for one more leg in the C, I want to point out that that's probably the least likely scenario that's going to take place, just because of how low we've already retraced up to this point. I told you guys 30 to a 40% corrections of steal. Anything lower than that is just, you can't really go wrong buying that. And so the fact that we've already hit mid 40s, we're getting an impulse out of there, I would say that that's the least likely scenario up to this point. But as long as we're trending below descending resistance, there's always the possibility for lower lows. And I want to point that out. That's really been my trading point. That's really been my trading plan this entire bear market, has just been seeing lower highs and then making sure that I'm not on the opposite end of the market by just taking lower buy orders down at lower points. And that's exactly what we've happened. We've trended below this resistance multiple times. We are now reacting back up within that same zone. So we're going to see exactly how we close from this point. If we can start to get some nice bullish action right at the edge of this resistance, that resistance is going to be weakening, in my opinion, before we do get an inevitable breakout of that. But that's what I'm going to be watching out for. Now, before we wrap this up, let's drop this to a weekly time frame real quick, guys. Now, on a weekly time frame, we're going to see that we have this very nice bullpen candle coming in here. Now, this bullpen candle right here is one of the more bullish reversal patterns that you're going to see on bigger time frame tradings. Now, this is a lot more price action trading than anything else. And this is really comes down to experience trading, knowing how to see certain candlesticks and candlestick closes that react in a certain way with the market. And so for me, guys, if we can get a close and we can keep this little green head up here with this long tail back down, if we can keep a close similar to this price structure, then that's going to be bullish. And I think that would set us up for a nice green candle that could potentially take us back up here to about 9,500, right around that range, and that would confirm the breakout. So on a weekly time frame, that's what I'm watching out for. You guys know what I'm rocking out with. All 3 buy orders have been filled for Bitcoin. So if you guys have been watching me for a while, I really hope that you guys were following and were able to profit off of my own personal trading plan, because right now things are looking very good. You cannot be complaining with what's happening inside of crypto. So this is my trading plan. Now let's actually dive into the altcoin and the Bitcoin dominance so that you guys know what I'm watching for with that. Alright guys, so here we are once again with the Bitcoin dominance. Now Bitcoin dominance itself is looking very bullish. Now I updated you guys last week with my last analysis with the Bitcoin dominance, and I told you guys that I saw a falling wedge pattern playing out right here, and I was expecting a breakout once we hit this trend line. Now after we hit this trend line, we got a nice reaction. The bulls came right back up in here, and if we can continue to close above where we're at, or at least right where we're at, this is going to be a bullish engulfing candle that's coming at the terminal end of a correction back onto trending support. And so that to me is a bullish sign. As long as we close higher than this red candle, that's going to be a bullish engulfing candle, and that's most likely going to set us up for a breakout and an impulse higher in this trend. And so this is what I'm going to be watching out for the Bitcoin dominance. You guys know my target's been at 79% for a while. My reason for that is because altcoins are following the Fibonacci linear growth cycle, and that's kind of the way that they're working out thus far. Every time the altcoins have bottomed before an alt season, they bottom at an equivalent of the Fibonacci sequence. And so this alternative, this is the Bitcoin dominance, so this is just inverted of the altcoins. That would require Bitcoin dominance to come back up to hit 79% for the altcoins to hit the next multiple in the Fibonacci equation. And so this is what I'm going to be watching out for. Not much has changed, besides the fact we haven't had a nice buyback at support of this trend line. And so for me, this looks a lot like a 1, 3, and 5 Elliott Wave impulse up. 1, 3, and we'll have one more final 5 wave that'll take us straight to resistance of this downtrend before we have a nice selling that occurs, which would take us into our alt season, guys. Holy shit. Finally, alt season. It looks like we might get one more impulse up before we would have our sell-off and this is where the real alt season takes. Overall, guys, I'm expecting one more leg up here in the Bitcoin dominance before we have that coveted alt season that everybody's been expecting for a while. I think that Bitcoin's going to impulse, make one more leg up. This is most likely going to take Bitcoin back to about 13K, or the high of that last cycle that we just saw that took us from 3,200 all the way up to just under 14K. And so I'm going to be targeting the cycle high of this next leg up in the Bitcoin dominance. That cycle high should see a nice run up inside of Bitcoin and then a bleeding of the altcoins. So I think that you guys have an opportunity to make some profits inside of Bitcoin, and then take some of those profits, launch them into altcoins before we have the next alt season that we've all been waiting for. Alt season is a real good way to make a lot of money. It only happens occasionally, and so it's really important that you time the cycles right. Bitcoin's going to keep impulsing, and you're going to be able to make a lot of steady gains off Bitcoin. Don't get stopped out. Don't get too caught up in the altcoin mania phase, and just make sure that you're holding some of that Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, I am expecting to make an impulsive leg up. And when that's going to happen, it's most likely going to bleed the alts, because that's what's happened thus far. So now let's actually dive into the altcoin dominance and see what I'm watching there. Roughly the same sort of strategy that I'm playing with the Bitcoin dominance. Realistically, this just looks like a 1, a 3, and a final 5 wave impulse back down. Now, this final 5 wave looks to be coming with the 1, the 3, and then we'll have one more final 5 wave impulse back down, and that will complete the final 5 of the 5. And so this is kind of what I'm going to be watching out for here with the altcoin dominance. I think I said Bitcoin dominance. I meant altcoin dominance. Just looks like we have final 5 of the 5 to complete with 1, 3, and 5 impulse waves down. So realistically, what I'm watching for right now, we did sell through support. This technically would have been our support cluster here, and this is what I was kind of watching out for. We needed to clear about 35% dominance to really set the stage for any higher highs, and we've even got rejected below that. We didn't even manage to clear 34% before we had this hanging man candle come in here. Now, this is where I can teach you guys a little bit about price action, because I do trade a lot of that. Now, price action for me is being able to find right before the short-term trend changes. So realistically, what I like to do when I'm trading price action is I want to be able to establish candlesticks that show the early beginnings of a reversal. Now, this can happen right here, or it can happen at the top. It doesn't really matter. It's just me plotting to see exactly where the market's going to go. Now, based off of price action, this rally up saw us hit this 34%. We slammed right up into resistance here, and then we've managed to sell off from that. Now, right now, what we're seeing is this huge little wick that came in here, this big little tail. We had this big tail that came right into resistance, and then the sellers pushed us back down. And so realistically, guys, we have barely any positivity in this candle. We have this little tiny green movement, but realistically, prices went all the way up here before selling all the way back down. This to me is a buyer exhaustion candle. This happens at the top of a trend before we start the next bearish leg down. And so to me, guys, if you're looking altcoin positions right now, the most profitable altcoin positions in this time you're going to be taking are shorts. I think that the best profitable cycles for altcoins are going to be shorts. Now, this is the Bitcoin pairs, guys. The Bitcoin pairs are shorts. I think that the Bitcoin pairs are going to make another leg down, and the dollar pairs are going to show strength as long as Bitcoin is showing strength. And so that's what I'm going to be watching for right now. Right now, based off of price action, this is looking bearish as shit. I think that we're about to see a red candle start closing after this one that we're seeing right now. And then that will take us for this next leg down in the cycle, which my targets are 21%. You guys know that my targets for the Bitcoin or for the altcoin dominance is going to be 21%, because then that's the next multiple in the Fibonacci equation. We had the bottom of 3, 5, 9, 12, and 21. And so 21 is the next multiple in the Fibonacci equation, which takes us back down here at roughly support of all 3 of these highs of the last cycle. And so that's, to me, is going to be the best bet for my trading plan. That's what I'm going to be rocking with. Overall, looking like bearish continuation, heading inside of the altcoin dominance, and that's going to set the stage for one more lower low. Now, don't get shaken out, guys. I know that you might be seeing this and thinking, well, shit, Bitcoin's going up. Why the hell aren't my altcoins going up? Are altcoins dead? Am I about to be screwed out of a huge amount of money that I've put into those? And the answer can be short-term, yes, but long-term, no. And it really just depends what coins you've invested in the short term and the long term, because I can't speak for a lot of these cryptos. I don't know if they're going to be around for a long time. I don't know if this final sell-off is going to shake them out and they're going to die forever. But what I can say, guys, is I don't think that altcoins are dead. Now, I think that we'll have one more leg down Bitcoin's going to rally in the short term, and so it's going to bleed these altcoins. Altcoins are going to make a leg down. You have the opportunity to short the Bitcoin pairs right now, and that's probably the only trades that I'd be taking, if not only Bitcoin trades right now. And so that's kind of what I'm going to be rocking with right now. Now, speaking of which, I think that this is a very good thing overall, because if we do go for a leg down and this takes us to 21% Bitcoin dominance, just by taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance over here, we're going to see that that's going to be a sizable drop, guys. Just to the lows that we saw at the peak highs for altcoin dominance, at the lows for Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin was at 32% dominance, guys. Now, this is a downtrend. This was our first impulse. Realistically, in the next alt season, I expect this to go very much lower. And I think that we could have the real possibility of hitting, 20% Bitcoin dominance down here. And honestly, even higher than that. We could hit something of 15% to even 10%. And realistically, guys, that makes a lot of sense to me. Bitcoin's not going to be the only cryptocurrency. It might be the only real store of value that we use, and it might be really the only big global currency that we use at some point, maybe when Lightning gets implemented. But it's not going to completely wipe out all the other cryptocurrencies that exist. And in fact, the other cryptocurrencies are going to continue to suck the dominance out of Bitcoin. And so I think that that's only a good thing for the market. Bitcoin, it's not the best idea to have all of the money inside of Bitcoin. What about these other projects that solve real world problems that we can start implementing today? Those have a real world use case that can be implemented right now. And so it would make sense to me that Bitcoin's not going to be the only crypto around. It's going to make sense to me that this downtrend is just going to continue to downtrend. And so with that being said, guys, I think a lot of money is destined to wind up in these altcoin projects. Bitcoin's still going to be the top gainer. Bitcoin's still going to be that big first cryptocurrency that continues to outperform, continues to do very well. But there's going to be other altcoins that follow that same trend. And so some altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin, but that's only going to be a good thing for the market. Even if Bitcoin dominance continues to drop, it's not going to change a damn thing besides giving a more expanded approach to the rest of the market. And I think that's good, guys. We need the most crypto adoption that can take place possible. And Bitcoin being the only cryptocurrency being adopted makes no sense, because we don't want one of these things. We want multiples. Now, that doesn't mean that I think that Ethereum and XRP are going to be the currencies of the future. I'm just saying that I think all of these present a use case in society, and they can all be implemented in society. And so that's going to require them sucking out of Bitcoin's dominance. That's going to require them growing at their own paces from different institutions investing in Ethereum, or different institutions investing into XRP rather than investing in Bitcoin or Ethereum. And that's the way it's going to be. Everybody has a personal preference. These cryptocurrencies fulfill a certain purpose, and different people are going to find different purposes for whatever businesses ventures that they are taking. And so that's what I'm going to be watching out for, guys. I think that this is a very good sign overall. Even if we do get one more impulse higher inside of Bitcoin, that's going to set us up for trades either way. You're going to be able to short altcoins, accumulate more Bitcoin, or you're going to be able to long Bitcoin, short alts, and accumulate both at the same time. It really does not matter, guys. Overall, there's plenty of trading to be taking place right now, being at the terminal end of what appears to be the 4-wave at trending support before one more final impulse up. There's going to be profitability inside of the market. And so if you're somebody that's trading this, you can honestly profit either way. If you're only looking to long, go long on Bitcoin. If you're looking to short altcoins. You're going to be making your Bitcoin either way. And so this is kind of what I'm rocking out with, guys. I wanted to share with you my updated analysis with what I'm seeing with Bitcoin. Overall, we're still in downtrend. We just need one more final impulse up to come in resistance before we start the next alt season and the next big drop inside of the Bitcoin dominance. So this is what I'm going to be watching out for. I wanted to quickly update you guys so that you know exactly what I'm thinking about moving forward. Overall, the market's looking very excellent. Bitcoin's showing some nice bullish signs. The correction could very easily be at a completion. And so we're going to see what the market's going to give us. But overall, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.